Hey friend, welcome to the Halfway to Dead podcast. I'm your host, Jen Lovell. Listen, you and I have reached that age where we are done with the bullshit. We know that midlife is our chance to flip the script and experience life on our own terms. It's time to reconnect with our higher selves and reclaim our inner peace. Are you ready with an open heart and an open mind? Awesome, you're in the right place. Hop in and ride shotgun with me on this midlife spiritual journey. Hey everybody. So today I have with us Terry Tateossian. So Terry at 42 embarked on a profoundly life-altering journey, successfully shedding over 80 pounds in her mid-40s, which is no small feat. We all know that, right? Overcoming emotional eating and discovering an untapped source of incredible physical and emotional strength. Her journey is more than a physical one. It was an experience that challenged and transformed her at every level, reinforcing her belief in the potential for renewal, growth, and change, regardless of life stage and the roles that you're juggling. Her success story is a testament to the fact that with the right mindset, tools, and support, it is possible to reclaim one's health and vitality during and after these transitional years. Terry is a certified professional trainer and nutritionalist. She's a hormone specialist coach, also an emotional eating coach, and she's currently taking quantum biology courses. So Terry knows what she's talking about with this midlife health thing we're all dealing with right now. Today, Terry teaches us about overcoming emotional eating and different tactics to implement throughout your fitness journey. We talk all about health stuff, you guys. She tells us how we need to be building our muscle. Even like we're not talking about pumping a bunch of iron here and getting bulked up, but we do have to strengthen our muscles as women in perimenopause and menopause. So we go into all of the information about that. Bottom line, guys, Terry she's been through an amazing journey, her own health journey. And I feel like a lot of us are in that spot in midlife, right? We got aches, we got pains, we got fat growing in places we didn't even plan. Anyway, we got a lot going on. Our hormones are everywhere. We're sweating like in the middle of winter. I don't know. We got a lot going on. You know what I'm talking about, you guys. And so Terry helps us out with all of that today. So let's jump in and get some tips from Miss Terry. Hey, Terry, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Jen.
Yeah, we talk a lot on this show about part of our midlife spiritual journey being this embracing, loving, handling this human body we're in, right? And how hard aging is for us and dealing with it. And so this body, we got to get in order. And I feel like your journey is a big testament to that because you started your health journey in your 40s. Is that right?
Actually, late 30s.
Late 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about you, about Terry. We love hearing all the stories, Terry. So tell me a little bit about your background and what led you to where you are now in your journey.
So I was born in an Eastern European communist country and ended up defecting with my mother and my stepfather in 1987. And we ended up in Austria, which is an asylum country for political refugees. I spent about 2 years there, and then we arrived in JFK in 1989, right after the wall fell, actually. So it was very interesting timing. And I lived in New York up until I was about 25, and to New Jersey, which is where I've been the majority of my time. And now I split my time between New Jersey and Tennessee, which is where my retreats are. And so what I went to school for, it morphed so many times. I was initially planning on being an attorney, so I went to school for political science, and then it ended up that my parents moved to Florida and I didn't want to go, so I had to switch majors because law school was not, I just couldn't see it happening, with having to support myself and all the things. So I switched to computer science, which I enjoyed a lot, and then ended up starting my own company that did technology, marketing, and then eventually video production, which is where I found myself at 37 with 2 children. I had my son at 35. And then at 37, I was still wearing pregnancy clothes. I was 80 pounds overweight. I was working 18, 19-hour days. It was a storm, okay?
For sure. I was going to say, I think probably a lot of people listening right now completely identify with everything you just said, right? You were in the grind, like little kids gaining weight, all of the things. So then was there a moment or something that made you decide this has gotten out of hand? I got to make some big changes now. Was there a moment?
Oh, there were quite a few
A lot of
moments.
moments.
So every time I couldn't go up the stairs, I was
Mm-hmm.
out of breath. I mean, I was 37, right? So in my mind, I had just had a baby 2 years ago, right? So it
Yeah.
wasn't really something that was that predominant in my mind in terms of my health. Death was not really part of my thinking. I felt
No.
pretty young, all the things. I mean, I was overweight and out of shape, but in my mind, it wasn't a big deal. Okay. I
Yeah.
figured eventually I'm going to get control of this, right? Eventually I have enough time to get past my pregnancy closed and the crazy work schedule where eventually I'm going to fix this issue, right? So I was always putting it off. And then at 37, 38, one night I was digging in the refrigerator for my nightly pint of ice cream.
Sure.
And I started having extreme chest pains. And so I knew my grandfather had actually 4 heart attacks and he died of the fourth one. And my grandmother had type 2 diabetes. And so I knew the symptoms and signs of a heart attack. And so ran to ER. I spent 2 days there, had no idea what was going on. They sent me home with a Xanax and I said, whatever, this is nothing. I don't have time to deal with this nonsense, right? This was a fluke. This was not something
Yeah.
serious, right? Because they let me go. They're like, oh, just take a Xanax.
And of course, they sent you home as a woman with a Xanax. Oh, it's just a panic attack. They probably told you. Yep,
Yes.
I've heard this a lot of times from people. Okay, so what?
I did nothing, just kept going in the same direction. Eventually, a few months later, I would say maybe about 9 months later, I had another one.
Mm,
And this time I was sure it was a heart attack. I mean, how many times can you have these things happen? And every
right.
time it's a fluke, right? So I run to ER, walk in, and I see the ER is completely packed with people with legitimate issues. And I'm like 37, 38, and I'm thinking to myself, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to die because they're not going to take me seriously.
Right.
Everybody here seems to be having, a lot more major
Yeah.
issues. And
Yep.
they take one look at me. I'm clutching my chest. I can't breathe. I'm probably pale, middle of the night. And they rush me back again. They think I'm having a heart attack because that's what it sounds like. Again, all the tests, they do everything. And I remember sitting in the hospital bed. I think my heart rate was like 160 or something
Oh,
like that on
Lord.
that
Yep.
machine. And I'm just sitting there. And I kept asking the doctors and the nurses, what is that? What is that? Why is that? Why is this
Right.
so
It's
high?
a little high.
What's causing it, right? What's causing it? And they're like, you're doing it. You're causing it. And again, all the tests, they ran all the tests they could, and they referred me over to a cardiologist because they couldn't find anything Again,
Mhm.
Xanax, go home. I went to the cardiologist. I did all the things. They couldn't really find any signs or no stroke, no heart attack, but it felt like one, right?
Yep.
And this time I was like, oh my gosh, and in my mind, I'm thinking, they don't know what they're doing.
What's wrong with these people? Yeah.
Something's wrong with me, right? So I took it seriously this time. It took 2 trips to the hospital. So yeah.
God. And you were like, okay, I've got to get healthier.
I believed at the time that the culprit was my 80 pounds of extra weight I was carrying, which
Mhm.
I'm looking back now, I'm pretty sure that was part of it. Absolutely. But what I didn't know back then is that I had entered
Oh,
perimenopause.
God, the awful perimenopause. Yes. That'll do it. Yep. I do it. Me and all my friends listen right now. We know exactly what you're talking about. Yep. And so prior to this, were you like in your 20s, were you like a healthy person prior to the pregnancies, or did you always struggle because you were an emotional eater, right?
So prior to my pregnancies, I was underweight. I was never overweight. My entire childhood, I was underweight.
Okay.
I never struggled with weight until I came to this country, really, is when I started truly struggling in my
Yeah, that
late
tracks.
20s. Yes.
Yeah, that tracks. The good old US of A will do it to you. Uh-huh. Okay. So So basically you gained this extra weight from the pregnancies, which happens to a lot of us, right? And then you just never get rid of the baby weight. Is that kind of what happened? Was
I,
there others?
I was still in pregnancy clothes at 37, 38. I was still wearing all of my garments. There was no time, and I didn't know what to do. So all of my previous experience with food,
Mhm.
nutrition, fitness were non-existent. I just ate whatever I wanted to eat, and I did not gain any weight
Yeah,
until,
you're one of those lucky people. This was all new to you having to figure out how to lose the weight.
yes, yes.
Yes. Oh, Lord. So one of her certifications, you guys, as I told you, is it emotional eating coach, which sounds like something we all need. I'm going to be honest. I feel like I could use one of those right about now. So what else did you have going on though, that was causing this emotional eating? Because it wasn't just, oh, I gained some weight from pregnancy. Were there other things going on? Like
On
underlying, did you start to dig in and do the work and figure out why the heck do I go straight to food?
Yeah, so it's a very interesting thing, emotional eating, because it's a very nuanced and unconscious coping mechanism
Mm-hmm.
that, in my opinion, and a lot of people have spoken about it that I've read about, and during the coursework that I did, it very much follows the pattern of any type of addiction, right? So it's a
Mm-hmm.
very similar neural pathway where we're using a substance, which in this case, well, in my case, it was all kinds of substances, right? Alcohol, nicotine, all kinds of things. I've
Mm-hmm.
done them. And food was just a safe option, right? There was no food rehab. No one was going to say, hey, we need to have an intervention because your Haagen-Dazs habit has gotten out of control. Like, no
Yeah,
one's
we
going
don't say
to say that,
that.
right?
No, we probably should, but we don't address it. Nope.
And so it was an easy way to calm down my inner state. It was an easy way to soothe whatever was happening. Now, it was different things, sometimes it was ice cream, sometimes it was, and I'm talking large quantities. I'm not talking about a scoop, okay? It was a
No, you're taking the whole tub to the couch.
yes.
Yeah, of
Yes.
course we are.
Yes.
Yep.
The whole gallon tub. Okay. I'm talking about, these were not human portions. They were maybe half a jar of the extra large Nutella jars, right? Not the little
Oh,
one,
no,
the
not the tiny
extra
one, the big
size.
one. Uh-huh.
Yes. Okay. In one
Yes.
sitting, just things like that, right? So half a chocolate cake, I could eat the whole thing, half of it. I could probably eat the entire thing back
So were
then.
you more of a binger or just a overeating all day long kind of thing?
No, I would not eat most of the day.
This is what I
I,
used to do when I could never lose weight. I would feel good because like, well, I haven't eaten anything all day. And so I'll just pack all my calories in between like 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. And then that's a real bad idea. But I think it's just part of our coping mechanism too, because in my life, it was around that same time too, where it was like, I'm working, I'm raising kids, I'm doing all the things. I got to do the laundry. I got to feed everybody in this damn house. And you're so overwhelmed. You don't even put yourself first enough to think about what you're putting in your mouth. You're just, because do we get a dopamine hit? We do. We have to from eating like that. That's why it's addictive, right? What's the
oh,
science behind that?
for sure. So sugar is actually more addictive than cocaine,
Believe it. I believe it.
and it's very difficult to detox from. And there's quite a significant withdrawal period. It's a habit that's been formed over many years of
Mhm.
using it as a coping mechanism. And the brain is wired and structured to be super efficient. So when we experience something uncomfortable, pleasant, full, whatever it may be,
Mhm.
and we grab whatever it is, right? So you could put anything in this placeholder. It could be Nutella, ice cream, cigarette, cannabis, cocaine, alcohol, sex, porn, gambling, whatever. Doesn't matter. Fitness, it could be running, right? It could be anything.
Yes.
It starts to associate being relieved of the uncomfortable feeling with that particular activity or
Yeah.
substance, right? And so next time you experience something uncomfortable, the brain is instantly, it's unconsciously trying to solve the issue and grabs whatever it.
Okay, so you're saying our brain is very efficient. So whatever's going to make us feel better quickest, that's what it's going for. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. And food is very easy to do that with. Just like
Absolutely.
you said, sugar is a great one for that, whether it's drugs, alcohol, food. And we also, I don't know, I feel like a lot of times we feel like we look down on people who are alcoholics. We look down on people who have drug addictions. But look at all of us running around with this food addiction, which is honestly just as harmful on our bodies. Do you think? Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean,
I'm sitting here all type 2 diabetic, midlife. Yeah. No, dangerous.
absolutely. Yeah. And especially with the increase in packaged foods. So ultra processed food, they're highly palatable, right? They're designed that way on purpose.
Addictive.
They stimulate addiction, absolutely. And a lot of these companies are putting substances in these highly processed, highly packaged foods in order to get us addicted to them, right? And so the other day I was in this food store and I was shopping for stuff and I was like, holy cannoli, 80% of the supermarket is highly processed packaged foods. So you almost have no chance.
Yeah. I want to start going over this, how to be healthy in midlife here with you. And I feel like we've already dug into this whole emotional overeating thing. What's our best way to start combating this addiction, this emotional eating, the sugar addiction? Do you have some things we can just start out by doing?
So one of the first things that you really need to give yourself permission to do is to observe the behavior without any type of judgment. And for myself, I had no awareness of what the heck emotional eating disorders were. I only knew of one end and the other end of the spectrums of eating disorders. So I had no clue that could be going on because I wasn't bulimic and I wasn't anorexic. But that's all I had knowledge of, completely ignorant of all the things in the middle. Yes. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, food wasn't harmful. It was just making me gain weight. So I felt out of control and I thought it was my body's fault. So I thought my body's betraying me. I don't understand what the heck's going on. And so the more I shamed myself and judged myself, the worse I felt. And then the more ice cream I ate, right? So it was a vicious cycle. Yes. And every time I failed a diet, what would end up happening is not failed. I don't want to say failed, but let's say I quit a diet, right?
Whatever. No, I get it. Start again the next Monday. Yep. We all start the next Monday.
Well, I would give myself a week hiatus and binge that entire week and then basically gain all of it right back and then start all over again, maybe even at a higher weight than where I originally started the first diet.
For sure. That's a common cycle we're all in. Right? Yeah. And then we get motivated by something new that comes out in the world. This new, whatever's new, like right now, GLP-1s, like all the new things. And we get on board with that. And then that fails. And we're like, all right, I'm just going to stop for a little bit, go back to my old ways. I'll get back to, and then we just get this awful cycle. I think I've been on every diet that came out since probably in the 80s. Anyway, I don't know. I've been on some crazy stuff that I look back and like, what was I doing? What was I thinking? How did I think that was good for me? But we did it. We did it. Yeah.
Same.
So, okay. So we have to acknowledge it first is what I'm hearing. And then what? What do we do? How do we combat this? We got to cut this out in midlife. We're too busy. We can't be worrying about that anymore.
So becoming aware of the pattern, right? So the first thing I had to do is, and the only way I got aware of the pattern was because I set a goal, right? So my goal was not to have another quote unquote heart attack. So it wasn't just about weight loss. It wasn't about vanity for me because that was not doing it. That was not doing the trick. There is a certain underlying belief when you have failed so many times to get back into shape or get in shape in the first place. When you have failed and quit so many times, it confirms this idea in your mind, this concept that this is never going to work for me. I'm never going to look the way I do, and I just need to get used to whatever the current condition is, right? And so the vanity, I had that. I was believing that. Thought I had zero chance to get anywhere near into a fit shape, ideal fit shape, right? And so vanity and that was not going to do it because I did not believe it was possible.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So the fact that I was afraid of having another quote unquote heart attack, and this time it being real, because in my core of my being, I believe that those previous 2 hospitalizations were warning shots from
To wake
above.
you up. Yep.
Right. And something was trying to tell me like, hello, what are you doing?
One of these times it's going to be real deal. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And
No,
so
I get that.
I believe that scared the heck out of me, right? The bejesus out. I was determined that was not going to be the end of me. And so I believed that I had to do something in order to avoid that trajectory.
Yep.
And I was like, I couldn't believe like, wow, I'm going to have a heart attack or a stroke at 40. Like that was unreal to me. That whole idea was unacceptable. And so I had to believe I had to take action and work towards a goal that I believed in, right? Vanity was not doing it for me.
No.
And so I set the goal and then I started observing. And I observed that whenever I felt overwhelmed, stressed, tired, lonely, unhappy, happy, joyful, it didn't matter.
All the emotions. Food. Yep.
Yes. Right. And because it was so easily accessible, I had no shame around it. And so it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go sneak and, inject heroin or something like that. It was like Haagen-Dazs, like, come on. So I started noticing and observing that this was my coping mechanism. I did reach out to a few therapists to discuss how all of this works, how the brain works, why I'm addicted to all these things. I learned that a lot of these foods are created and manufactured to be addictive. And I started getting smarter about it. So what I started doing is instead of eating Haagen-Dazs every night, I made my own protein ice cream in a Ninja Creamy, which was more protein, less calories. So one huge Ninja Creamy container that I made was 280 calories total compared to a pint of Haagen-Dazs, which is about 1,500 calories.
For sure.
Right? And when I started tracking macros, that was really eye-opening for me as well, because I had to eat every 3 hours. So there was no more like all day, no food.
No, you couldn't fast all day.
Binge session, right? So I ate every 3 hours, which crowded out my hunger, right? So I never reached a point throughout the day where I was starving and out of control. And it was predominantly protein. So when I started on this lifestyle to tracking macros, eating the right amount of protein and lifting weights, everything was getting tracked. Everything was getting measured. Things were getting tracked. I had to stay on a schedule. So every 3 hours, I was having a dose of 30 grams of protein, certain amount of carbs, certain amount of fat. And I had to do that every 3 hours. So I was full all the time because I wasn't used to eating so much whole food.
No, that's a lot. Yep. That's a lot of food.
And I was losing 7 pounds a month.
See, perfect. Now, but you're making this sound like it turned into a full-time job, pretty much, right? I mean, because like you've got to really carve out time in your day to be counting the macros and eating every 3 hours and do a lot of all those things. Yeah.
So this is what I coach women. In the beginning, just like anything else, it's going to require more time to learn, right? There's a learning curve.
Till it becomes a habit.
That's right. And then it becomes automatic. Right. And so, and then you start to figure out little hacks, like how can I pre-prep a whole bunch of vegetables on Sunday and have enough food all the way into Thursday. So I don't have to do anything except just put my meal together. And you can even do that until Friday. Right. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, get your meals preloaded in a sense so that you don't have to worry about it all the way until Friday. And the planning aspect is a key to succeeding here, because when you leave it to contemporaneously, like whatever I feel like it, if you're an emotional eater, your intuition is not going to steer you in the right direction, right?
No, because we're just going to want to eat what we
Right.
want to eat when we want to eat it. What I'm hearing you say is part of the discipline is taking that factor out of it. What do I want to eat right now? And just planning, what am I eating this week? I'm not going to keep thinking about it every day, every meal. So basically, all right, at 1:00, I'm going to do my protein bar every day. Just get in a, in a routine, right? Because these
And,
macros are a little complicated. Do they?
and in the
But like you
beginning,
said at first. Yeah,
yes.
at first.
So when it comes to tracking macros, I highly recommend the coach. When it comes to lifting weights, I highly recommend the coach. That's why I changed careers. I became a coach. It gives me a lot of pleasure to help somebody and satisfaction and fulfillment
Yeah,
to
to
help
figure it
other
out.
women nail this lifestyle, right? And not look at it as in, oh, this is a full-time job or this is going to take a lot of time or I got to think about this all the time. Yes, in the beginning, if you were learning how to drive a car, it's the same
Yeah,
thing.
you got to put more work in at the beginning.
Yes.
Yes. But you have to be ready for it. Okay. And so let's talk about this because all of this feels much harder in midlife. All right. If you were training a 20-year-old on this stuff, it seems like we have more against us. And that's partially because of, like you said, we hit perimenopause, we hit menopause, and things start to change a lot, in my opinion. We start to feel the changes. So what are some of these changes that we're having to fight against in midlife? More than usual because it has to do with our hormones, right? I mean, that plays a big part of it.
So I'm going to challenge you there.
Okay, challenge me. I love it.
So the reason why it seems like it's easier for a 20-year-old than it is for a 45-year-old
Mm-hmm.
is because she doesn't have 25 years of previous unhealthy habits, but the body
Yeah.
is more or less the same, right? The hormones are fluctuating, but they fluctuate during adolescence and they fluctuate during pregnancy as well. So it's a pretty normal thing. It's a normal, natural transition that we go through. And I know, the media and social media and all these places are like to blame hormones, but that's normal. What's working against us in midlife, it's not the
Mm-hmm.
hormone. It's the previous 40 years of accumulated habits and behaviors and just not knowing how to take care of this vehicle that we call a car,
Yeah.
right? We know more about how to take care and maintain our cars than we do on how to maintain our own bodies. And
True.
so that's what's working. That's what's stacked against us because I do have my daughter is my own client. So my daughter she tracks macros, she understands nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
She trains in the same workouts and she does the same type of training as my clients who are 65. They do the same thing. There's no difference. The
Okay.
difference
So
is
what
the
I'm hearing is you're calling me out right now, Terry, and you're telling me
body.
that I'm using this whole hormonal perimenopause menopause thing as a crutch. And we gotta stop thinking like that. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, a
We can do
lot of
this.
us do
Our
that.
bodies are equipped to do this. We
Yes,
just
they
probably have
are.
to train ourselves because as Gen Xers like me here in the United States with all this, like you said, junky, crappy food and everything else, we've been trained a certain way. We are not equipped, I guess is what I'm saying at this age, to have built up these healthy habits. The way some of the younger kids now they're going to benefit from this, right? If you start in your
I
childhood,
hope.
wow, are you set up for a better old age, you guys? Okay. So it's not the hormones. It's everything else. We got to start habit stacking better things. Is that what I'm hearing? Like we got
I
to,
mean, a little bit, right? So there is a part that the hormones play, right?
yeah.
So lower estrogen, increased cortisol, things like that, or testosterone goes down. So, naturally, the lack of estrogen, testosterone, and high cortisol, it's just the lifestyle that we're in. We have aging parents, maybe teenagers running around,
Mm-hmm.
partners, things like that, more responsibility at home or at work. There's just generally more stress, and we're so
Yeah.
strapped constantly for time because of this lifestyle that we've
Mm-hmm.
been fed that we need to live, that there's literally no time to do anything for ourselves. We can't even think about what the heck am I going to eat, right? We're
Right.
that busy, right?
Yeah. We're so busy. We're like, where am I going to drive through today? And
Right,
that's a bad habit to get into. Yeah.
right. And so, yeah, the hormones I mean, personally, I think the hormones play about 20% role into
Okay.
all of it. It is
Okay.
all, the rest of it is 80% habits,
Just
lifestyle.
the rest of the habits. Okay. Are there any natural ways that you can suggest just to address that 20% hormonal part really quick? Are there a few natural ways that we can get through that struggle with the hormonal part of it? Because it is part of it. I mean, like the amount of hot flashes that keep us from getting good sleep, which in turn makes us have a terrible day after, it becomes this terrible cycle. Do you have any natural ways that we can start combating some of that?
Build muscle as
Build muscle.
quickly as possible, right? So start as soon as possible. Don't wait. You need muscle in order to regulate hormones,
All
your
right, well,
mood.
we got to dig into this. All right, we got to build muscle because I've heard this a lot because we forget as women in their 50s, 60s, whatever. We don't think of bodybuilding. Well, I mean, I'm saying bodybuilding, which is not really what this is, but we don't think of it. We think we just can go on the walk, right? Or we can just go on the jog. But that isn't going to cut it, Terry, is it? Just that daily walk.
I'm so sorry to be the bearer of bad news. But this year so far, well, no, in the last 3 years, I'm going to tell you what I see. I have done about 60 women's retreats, and I've had
Mhm.
about roughly 8 to 10 women at each one. So we're talking about 600 women.
Yep.
And that's not including any of my ongoing monthly coaching clients. None of my coaching clients, by the way, think this because that's not the case. We all know that this is not correct. But
Right.
women that do not have coaches believe, I've heard this, and I'm really sorry if anyone listening is part of this group. I'm going to be really blunt here.
Do it. Give it to us, Terry.
I have heard things like, well, I walk, so that's resistance training. No, it's not. Walking is an activity that increases your general energy expenditure. That is not resistance training. I have heard things like, I swim. That's resistance training. No, it's not. That's also another activity.
That's an activity. Okay.
I have heard things like, I've been doing yoga for the last 20 years. Why do I feel so weak? Like, why am I, don't you consider that strength training? No, I don't. Yoga is not resistance training. Yoga is stability, mobility, and core work and flexibility. Those are all great. And all the things I'm mentioning right now, they're all fantastic. They're just not strength training. So I hear it all the time, and I am starting to understand that women in general do not understand what strength training, resistance training is. And they're considering walking, jogging, swimming, yoga, Pilates. None of these things are going to help you with bone density, with osteoporosis, with your metabolism, with any of these things, right? They're great for other things, nervous system regulation, activity, expenditure, cardiovascular health. They're great for those things, but they're not resistance training. And so anytime I hear that, I'm like, no, stop.
So, okay, what do we need to be doing? What is resistance training then?
So resistance training is load bearing exercises that you can progressively increase in difficulty. So,
Okay.
for example, if you have a really good trainer, they will meet you where you're at, right? So, a good trainer is going to evaluate, where are you at today? What is your general fitness level? And where can we start safely? Because that's another thing I've noticed after having worked with 600 plus
Yep.
women, is that the biggest deterrent and the biggest fear to strength training or resistance training is that women are afraid to do it. They're afraid that they're going to get hurt, right? For whatever reason, there's a stigma to it. I don't want to get bulky. I don't want to get hurt. I don't need to do it. All incorrect.
Okay. All right.
So a good trainer is going to evaluate where you're at and start you in the right place, right? So let's say you're a beginner, which in my case, I was a total beginner. I had never lifted a dumbbell. I didn't know what a barbell was. I didn't know what any of these names were. Like, what the heck is an RDL? I
Yeah,
will
because
prove it.
all that stuff can be very intimidating. You go to the gym and you look at that section, and you're like, oh, I think I'll just hit the treadmill instead. I don't know what I'm doing over there. So you're right. We kind of do need a coach, especially at the beginning when we're starting this journey, because I can't tell you how many times I've been at a gym and kind of wandered around wondering what the hell I'm supposed to be doing. So you walk the track, you get on a treadmill, you get on a bike, you go try some equipment, right? You think you're strength training, but then it's just a lot. It's overwhelming.
I
It
know.
is, especially if you're just starting the journey at this age, right? Looking like heading in, you got all the bodybuilders and stuff in there, and you're like, why am I even here? No, we have to get at this because we do have to build our muscle. I was reading an article. They did a whole bunch of studies. What muscle is most predictive of your longevity? Like how many more years you have to live, how long you're going to live.
Your leg.
And it was. And
Yeah.
and people, no, and you'd be guessing like, well, you check your heart statistics, you check your this. No, it was your quads.
Yes,
It was
I
like your
know.
leg muscles. And I was like, oh boy, I got some work to do. You know, because obviously, and I was trying to think it through. Why is that? Why is it that it would be our leg, Terry? Why are they saying that? Why is it so important to have
Well,
muscle
lots
build?
of reasons, right? So if you have really strong legs and glutes, you're
Mhm.
less likely to fall over, right? So what is the
Good.
number one reason that most people end up in the hospital?
Yeah, they break something, break a hip,
Right,
break a something.
right.
Yeah, injuries.
That's like the number one reason the emergency ambulance is called. So you fall down, you break something, you end up in the hospital. Once you're in the hospital, Lord help you.
Yeah.
What's going to happen there, right? So lots of things can go, even if it's just for a fall, even if you don't have a chronic condition, a lot of times you end up catching something there, complications, pneumonia, and you can't move, right? You can't walk around. Now you're even more debilitated. Once you stop being able to move completely and you have to lay in bed for a month or two, all kinds of things happen there,
Yeah. You
right?
don't
And
use it, you lose it.
right.
Yeah. And it makes sense. And if you've got strong legs, that means you're moving. You're not sitting on your butt on a couch all day, right? You're out moving around and doing stuff. But again, it doesn't go back to just walking. We've got to build muscle, right?
Yes. Yeah. So
Strength,
I did a
strength.
video on this yesterday. I was actually I was talking to somebody last week about it's not really about the size of the muscles. It's not about the definition of the muscles. It's not about aesthetically what they look like. It's about, and they've done tons of studies about this. There's all kinds of interesting data on this. It's about the total strength and power you can produce using your body, right? So it's you may not have giant big muscles, but you could
Right.
be really strong, right? And so it's the total amount of strength that you empower that you can produce within your body that we're really looking for.
What kind of training are we talking about here? Resistance training, weights. Are you just talking about lifting weights and using the machines where you're like pushing against weight? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, so a lot of the programs that I create, all the programs, every single one of the programs I create has compound moves. So compound moves are things like squats, deadlifts, hip thrusts, bench press, etc. So it's recruiting multiple muscles at the same time, and it can be very functional, right? So squats are sitting down in a chair and getting back up and doing that, 3 sets of 10, for example.
Okay.
And once you kind of feel like it's starting to be easy, then you make it a little bit more difficult. So maybe you add an extra rep. And then maybe when that starts to be easy, you add an extra set. And then maybe when you're doing 4 sets of 15 chair squats and you feel like that was kind of easy, right? Maybe you add a 5-pound dumbbell to that. And then you continuously progress until maybe you don't need the chair anymore. Maybe you're doing full body weight squats, or maybe you're using a 20-pound dumbbell, and then you keep changing the variables. So maybe you do them a little bit slower. Maybe you add a half rep. Maybe you don't take as much rest time. Maybe you add a little bit more weight. So there's a lot of variables that you can manipulate to continue to progress, to get stronger and stronger, because your muscles need stimulation in order to adapt. So if you're just doing the same thing constantly, your body's going to adapt to a certain level and then it's going to stop. right? So you need to continuously challenge it in different ways. And it doesn't have to be always adding more weight. I think that's a misconception out there that women think, oh my gosh, she's going to make me lift 200 pounds and whatever. No,
No, no,
not
we
how
can't
it
do all of
works.
that. So for all of my friends out there who are thinking, oh my gosh, I can't afford to buy a whole bunch of equipment and all of this, and I'm a little bit too nervous to head to the big gym yet, right? There's a lot of people sitting at home with 100 pounds to lose, and they're like, yeah, I'm not ready to go to the gym yet. And I am not going to buy a bunch of equipment for at home. It sounds like a lot of these things you're saying are things we can use our own body weight for, right?
Absolutely. It starts with your own body weight and then it progresses.
And then that's when you add in your 5-pound weights and things like that. But really just your own body weight, especially if you have quite a bit to lose, is enough, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm going to challenge everybody.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
All right.
So it doesn't even have to be formal dumbbells. I've had people use cans,
Yeah,
water
canned goods.
bottles.
Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of stuff.
Yes. Big, giant water gallon jugs, right? You can hold that and you can do squats with that. I've had people use resistance bands. Love those. A TRX is another one. That's great.
Yeah.
And there's so many ways to do strength training that does not require even dumbbells, barbells, machines, gyms, none of it.
So we can do this, you guys, is what I'm hearing. Like we could do this with our own, because it is hard for us to get to the gym sometimes. If we're not gym people yet, it's intimidating, and all the machinery is intimidating, and you might get a good trainer at your place. You might not. Like, it's hard to tell. Right. So you do want to get into a program, something like Terry offers, even where you've got community, you're getting good tips, you've got a plan. Right. It sounds like we really need a good plan. We can't willy-nilly this anymore. We can't just do whatever the next trend is. We got to really dig down here. We got to start. It's not just about walking. I'm hearing we've got to build our muscle. And we don't think of that as middle-aged women building muscle. And we're not talking about becoming a beefcake. We're just talking about building some muscle in these legs, these arms, like all of these things. We still need to walk. We still need to do the yoga, all of that. Am I right?
Absolutely.
We've got to add in some of this resistance training. We've got to get our muscle back up. Is that right?
Yeah. So you want to retain your muscle, right? Because we're losing muscle from the age of 30, I believe, about 1% to 2% every year. And that's where people end up with sarcopenia, right? Over years and years of muscle loss. So you want to retain the muscle you have, and then you want to build more muscle so you're stronger and stronger as we're entering. I mean, I'm going to be 50 in about a year and a half. And so I feel stronger than ever. I feel really good. I'm looking forward to being 50.
No, you look fabulous. And just to let everybody know, how much did you lose?
80 pounds.
She lost 80 pounds, you guys. In a span of how long did that take you?
3 years.
3 years. Yeah. Which is perfect because you've maintained this isn't a quick fix we're talking about here, guys. We've got to make lifestyle changes and get going. So you started working out. Nutrition was a big part of it. Am I right?
Yes. And just to add, I have maintained the weight loss.
Yeah, that's the important part. Oh, right? No, that's the really important part. Yes.
And nutrition, right? So nutrition changed for me forever. I did not go back to my normal style of eating. I was looking to heal my emotional eating pattern, which I have been successful at, or I would not have been able to maintain my weight loss. Once in a while, I think about it and I feel that urge, because when you're an emotional eater and that urge comes in, it's urgent. It's urgent. Like you have to have this thing right now, right?
And you can't get it out of your mind. Yes. You just can't. It's awful. So what do you do? How did you switch that? I mean, I know this is a long process. Like we can't cover it all today, guys. But what is one thing we can start doing? You said noticing it. Are you saying, do we ask, am I really hungry right now? Or is something else going on?
Yes. So that's one of the tricks, right? So that's one of the steps that I teach clients as well is if you have eaten your 5 meals that you're supposed to eat for the day,
Yeah.
You have hit your protein and your carbs and your fats for the day. And all of a sudden, right after eating a meal, let's say, for example, you get that urge, take a few seconds and think, am I really physically hungry? Am I physically hungry right after eating my pretty decent sized whole food meal?
Right. And the answer is going to be no, because
Right.
we're smart enough in midlife. We know we're not actually hungry. But then what do we do? Because I still want to eat whatever that is.
Right. So then the next question is, you're emotionally hungry. You're not physically hungry. So if you're emotionally hungry, what is it that you need right now? What is that emotion that you're either trying to suppress or you're trying to embrace or you need? What is it that you need? Right. So how check in with how you're actually feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the tricky part comes in, because a lot of time we don't want to feel it. We don't want to feel whatever that is.
Of course not. No, of course not. But we bury so many emotions in our body over the years. We bury, and now they're all starting to come up. Sometimes in the spiritual journey, they're all coming up, and which is the perfect reason to start overeating, right? Because you're bringing up the stuff. We're doing the shadow work. We're figuring things out. And now all we want to do is eat our way through that. And so it feels like this is an important part of the spiritual journey because we're going to be digging up all of these traumas, honestly, and stuff from our lives. And we're going to need to deal with it. And for me, I would love to deal with it with food, but I can't, right? I can't health wise, like I can't be doing that business. So we have to readjust all of this.
Yes. And so you ask, what is it that I need right now? And can you give it to yourself, right? Can you soothe yourself? Can you treat yourself like the little girl that you used to be, that maybe
Mm-hmm.
did not get that kind of attention and wasn't soothed the right way or wasn't made to feel safe or loved or whatever that may be? Can
Yep.
you personify yourself as your adult self, going back and soothing that little girl and telling her things are going to be okay? Maybe she's
Mm-hmm.
anxious, maybe she's scared, maybe she's lonely, maybe she's whatever it is that she's feeling. Practice that, right? Practice that internal dialogue with yourself. And, do that a little bit for, maybe like a minute or two. And then, because the past you, the one that meal prepped on Sunday,
Yep.
expected this, right? She was really, really smart
I knew it
and
was
took
coming.
care of her future self. Because you meal prepped a substitution ice cream or a protein brownie or whatever, go ahead and have the substitution instead of the full calorie
Yeah.
option. Right. So if you know that every night you're going to go for the ice cream, find a substitution that's going to work for you. That's not going to throw in an extra 2,000 calories at the end of the day every night. Just expect it. Expect that
So
it's going to happen.
we need to prep for failure. That's part of what meal prep is, you guys. Sounds like we need to prep a few things for those moments, right?
Absolutely.
Have the protein ice cream ready or the protein brownie or whatever alternate option would be good and have it ready. Yeah, prep for failure. I don't know how else to say it, but that seems right, Terry. Not that we're a failure. I'm not saying we're a failure, but for those moments of weakness, we prep for those.
I don't like to call it failure or weakness. I just
Yeah.
call it the little girl, right? So if you
Yeah.
had a little child that loved brownies, but you knew if you kept feeding her these brownies every night, it wasn't going to end up in a good place as far as her blood sugar, diabetes,
Right.
etc., right? So you as the adult decide, I don't want to make you feel like you can't have brownie. But guess what? I'm going to tweak the ingredients
Right.
so that
Yeah.
these brownies don't have 100 grams of sugar in them and 100 grams of fat, and they're just better. Maybe they're zucchini brownies, okay, with a little bit of
Yeah.
protein powder, and they taste pretty much the same as regular brownies. I mean, it's a child; she's not going to know the difference, right? Her
Right.
taste buds are going to change over time. I look at it as in taking care of the inner child that is craving that brownie. and teaching her how to make better options. You can still have the brownie, just
Okay.
not the one from the store that was packed with all kinds of things to make you
That's all
addicted
the
to it.
junk. Yeah. Oh, so we got to prep. We got to prep for all this, you guys. Otherwise, we're going to grab whatever's already in the pantry, and that could be real bad. Yeah. It's, yeah, from my point of view over here. Okay. So we got a lot of work to do, you guys. All right. But we can do this in menopause. Like you said, there are ways to do this, but it sounds like the most important things are the prep work. I don't know. It feels exhausting, Terry, to say we got to do all this prep work, but anything worth doing is going to take a little work, right? There's no quick answer, which we've all figured out because we've done every weird diet that got released, right? I've done them. And so there is no quick way. And right now, are you seeing a lot of people with the effect of all the GLP-1s where they're losing weight very quickly and then rebounding back? What are you seeing in the culture right now? How do you feel about all that?
Personally, I think GLP is a great medication for people that
Mhm.
are diagnosed with a condition and it's prescribed by a legitimate physician that
Yeah.
knows what they're doing, right? And so I think that's great. We have all these technologies and medications out there that are helping
Mhm.
people that need it, okay? However, what I'm seeing is people that need to lose 10, 15 pounds that
Yeah, that's not for
may not
them.
even need to lose it, okay?
Right, they just think they need to, right?
And you need to lose 10 pounds, they're
Right.
going to give it to you. They're going to sell it to you. And
Yeah,
so I'm
no,
seeing a lot
that
of that.
yeah, a lot of people who don't have morbid obesity going on that just would like a quick fix, right? Like the Kardashians and everybody got us thinking we could just do real quick. It's
Right.
always the easy way out that feels the best to us. But no, this isn't easy. So we got to learn, guys, we got to learn macros. We got to build our muscles. Oh, we got to food prep. We got to do all the things. If there was two things that that we should start doing today, obviously, I'm going to just say call a coach. All right, let's take that off the table. But what are a couple other things that we could start doing today to go get ourselves heading the right direction? Because if you're listening to this today, you guys, I'm not expecting you're going to start a big food prep and counting your macros tomorrow, right? That's a lot to expect of someone. But what are a couple things just to start us on this journey heading that direction?
Think about how much protein are you eating per day? Most of us, when I first started working with a woman, the
Mm-hmm.
majority of us are eating between 70 to 80 grams of protein per day, which is not enough at all. And then we're compensating for that hunger by reaching for more carbs and fat. So just pay attention. Are you having enough protein? Are you having any protein for breakfast, lunch, dinner? How can you boost that? And then,
How much
there's
protein should we have? How would we calculate there for ourselves? Is it based on what our current weight is, what our goal weight is? How much protein should we be taking in a day?
so that's a very individual, it's very bio
That's what I
individual
was
type of
thinking,
question.
yeah. But in general, because you said 80 is not enough. So let's just take a 150-pound woman that's in her 50s, just
Mhm.
in general. Is there a way to calculate that or no?
So the first thing I would do is I would obviously, what is her height? What is her weight? What is her waist to
Mhm.
hip ratio? What is her body composition? How much muscle does she have on her frame? How long has she been lifting weights? And, what's her general activity level, right? Does she need to
Yeah.
lose weight or does she need to gain weight, right? So if you're 150 pounds and you're 5'11", you're probably a little bit underweight, right? But
Yeah,
if
for
you're
sure.
5 foot, like in my case, I'm 150 pounds and I'm 5'3", but my body composition is, more muscle than body
Yeah.
fat. Depends again, right? So if you're 5'3" and you weigh 150 pounds and your body composition is more fat than muscle, then you
Mhm.
probably need to lose some weight, right? So, or not, I don't know. It's
Or
very,
switch it, or you got to
very
switch that fat to muscle, kind of. Sometimes it's not about what the scale says, right? It's about your muscle composition. Yeah.
right.
So, all right. But protein, we were figuring out protein. So, how many grams would you like in general? Obviously, it's individualized. I get it. But if someone right now listening is like, well, how much should I have then a day?
It also depends on how much have they been eating the past, few years. on average
Mm-hmm.
per day,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you're used to eating 70 grams of protein per day, and if that's the way you've been eating, if I tell you to eat 150 grams of protein per day, you're not going to
I
feel
feel like a lot.
doing that. Right. And so you have to incrementally and gradually get up to, I would say, about 140, 150. So 1 pound of protein per pound of ideal body weight. Of 150 is your ideal body weight. You're looking at somewhere between 140, 150. But if you have a history of under eating and you've been eating 70 grams of protein per day, which is where an audit comes in, right? So when you hire a coach, they will audit you.
Yeah, you're going to figure that out.
Yeah, you'll gradually increase that.
Okay. Because if it's a pound, yeah, that's a lot of protein. Okay. To take it, like you said, if you're not used to it yet. So it might be a goal if you're someone who's only, first of all, we have to calculate it. Step one is, like you said, we got to audit this thing. How much am I really taking in a day? Because I think some of us would be shocked at how low our protein count is, right?
Yeah.
It's probably much lower than even 80 for a lot of people. Are you even getting much protein in? Especially for those out there who are, doing more of a vegan lifestyle or whatever, seems like it'd be even trickier, right? To get all your protein in. All right. So we probably just need to start slowly adding that up. Like if we're doing 50, we're only doing 50 of protein a day right now. Our goal could be what? Next week, I'm going to try and hit 70. I'm going to slowly work my way up to get to that 150 like that you're talking about. Because we can't do that overnight or that'd be too overwhelming. We're going to quit. We're going to quit like we did every other diet.
Exactly.
Just talking from experience here, Terry, like that's going to be a quit moment for me probably if I feel too overwhelmed. Like how am I going to get all that in? Right? That's too much protein. Okay. All right. So protein, and what other one thing can we get going on right now?
Definitely a little bit of strength training.
I thought you were going to say that. I'm like, yep, it's the muscle. Yep. It's protein and muscle because those kind of go hand in hand too, don't they?
Yes.
Huh? Okay, so we got to start doing some resistance training. And if we're just stuck in our house right now, we're kind of like, Terry, we're a little bit stuck in depression. We know we got to lose all this weight, everything else. What are just a couple exercises that are legit resistance training in our home that we could do right now? Would it be down out of a chair? Like what? What would we do?
Yeah, absolutely. So grab a gallon of water and hold it up to your chest, as securely as possible. And sit down on a chair and come back up and do that 4 times throughout the day for 20 times. So sit down and get up 20 times.
20 times.
And sprinkle that
4 times throughout the day. Try and get that done.
Yes. Then another one is use a wall or some type of a bench or a table or your countertop, anything where you can do a push-up. So do a push-up against the wall, against the countertop. You can do about 10 reps and sprinkle that 4 times throughout the day. Another one is you can, right next to your desk, do a few crunches. So do about 20 crunches at a time and sprinkle them 4 times throughout the day. So maybe what you do is you do your squats, you do your push-ups, and you do your crunches all in one circuit, and then repeat that 4 times throughout the day.
4 times throughout the day. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then follow that up with some big old protein shake or something because we're working on the protein now. Let's go to the main thing here, Terry, which is going to be finding someone to help you through all this, right? Which is where this coaching comes in and someone that knows what they're talking about. So tell me about what you offer.
So I do one-on-one coaching, and it's in a group as well. So there's a group component to the one-on-one coaching. It's all virtual. You don't have to be physically near me.
Right.
And there's really absolutely fantastic women in my group that have been with me for 2+ years and have completely transformed their lifestyle, right? So
is there a lot of middle-aged women?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I like it. Yeah, because it's nice to be in a group of people who get it. You know what I mean? Like they've been through the things. We're all in it together. We get it. Okay. So you have one-on-one, and then it has a group component to it also.
And then I do retreats. So I do in-person retreats. So a lot of
Yeah, tell me about this. I was just looking at this because your retreat is in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, right? It looked beautiful. You guys, you got to you got to click the link and look at this online because it looks beautiful. And what do you focus on in that? Because I noticed there's some meditation listed and maybe some Reiki and different things. So it really isn't just about fitness, is what I'm saying, right? It's a holistic type of approach. So tell me about that. What's your approach at the retreat?
Exactly. Everything is actually a holistic type of approach. And I call it lifestyle medicine, right? So it's about nailing all of the lifestyle components little by little without feeling overwhelmed, without triggering your nervous system. So things like exercise, nutrition, sleep, hydration, stress, community, all of these components work together to create a lifestyle that's healthy for us. So at the retreats, we do yoga, we do hiking, we eat a lot of the foods and recipes that are high in protein, very whole
Hmm.
food oriented. We do a few strength training fundamentals classes where I teach women how to brace properly, how to stand properly, how to use their feet during a squat and things like that, right? So when they go home, they feel more confident going to the gym and not feel like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing because they've had some coaching
Yeah.
5 days. And then we do restorative yoga. So yoga is really good for your nervous system to
Yes.
calm down that type of anxiety and stress. And
Mhm.
there's lots of studies out there on that. Meditation, breath work, being out in nature, connecting to other women that are in the same journey.
Yeah. Do you teach this whole counting your macros thing at the retreat? Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah,
Sometimes. And so they're a week long. And did you say there's about 10 women per retreat, or how big does the group get? Is that about where you
exactly.
stay?
10 women.
Okay. About 10 women. And it's like all inclusive, right? You just show up
Exactly.
and yeah. And you get fed. You guys, doesn't this sound amazing? Like you get fed, you get taught how to be healthy. That feels like a really great kickstart to the whole thing, right?
A lot of women use it for that. Yes.
As to kickstart, like to really immerse yourself in it for that whole week, because you know how distracted we are in life. We've got to get rid of the distractions to really commit to something. It's my belief. Is it seasonal because of the weather in Tennessee, or is it year round?
The only months we're off are December and January. So we run all
Okay.
the way into November and then start up again in March.
Okay. Okay. So guys, you know, we have all of this listed in the show notes to get a hold of her and look at all of her things, because we can do this alone. But like I say all the time, but why? But why do it alone, you guys? You're going to have more success in a group and when you've got people to be accountable to, right? And it just seems like in midlife, we're smart enough to know now, get the help, right? Get the help, you guys, because it's out there to do. And Terry's been through this, right? She lost 80 pounds. She's not sitting there, someone who's been skinny her whole life and doesn't get it. Like she gets it. She struggled. She had to do this too, right? Terry, you had to get through this too. And I have one more question because I saw a little clip on I don't know if it was on your Instagram, but you addressed this deodorant thing. Because this is a struggle out there. It really is, because we don't want to wear the antiperspirants because we know there's the aluminum, all the bad stuff in them, but also we don't want to smell awful around us, because I've been around some hippy dippy people and different people. And you're like, I get that they don't want to wear deodorant, but this is overwhelming. This is a lot. Terry, what do we do? Because if we're going to start this journey working out and everything, there is a transition phase, is what you were saying in it.
Yes.
And I was reading, I was like, okay, that makes sense. We have to be prepared for our bodies, maybe to get a little bit grosser before it gets better. Is that the theory behind this? Tell us about this real quick, Terry, because I know a lot of people who worry about the armpits in this journey.
That's what happened to me. So when I first stopped wearing antiperspirant specifically,
Yes.
I reeked.
That's what I'm saying. There's a phase we go through.
Yes. And so your body detoxes, right? So, but this is all in conjunction with eating whole foods, right? Less processed food, less crap, less sugar. So the less of these things you eat, the less you're going to smell bad. And so there is a period, I would say about 2 to 3 weeks, where I reeked. Like my body was just detoxing. It smelled worse
Yes,
than.
because a lot of people get to day 2 or 3 of that and be like, all right, I'm done. I got to go back to my old deodorant because I can't go to work like this. Like I
Right.
smell. So we need to plan this properly when our body's detoxing from. Is this what I'm hearing? Because it is a thing. People want to get rid of those antiperspirants and like all of the harmful things in it. But it's hard to
Yes.
head to work or wherever you're going every day because some people can't just sit home for 3 weeks while they're detoxing. So is there ways to like, is there certain products or is there a way to like, I don't know, get through that phase? Because a lot of
Yes.
people will quit. I know people who are like, I tried, I can't do it.
Yes. So the next thing is sweat it out, right? So go outside and sweat. Or if you have access to a sauna, go out and just sweat it all out in that 3-week period. And the other thing I learned to do is not to wear plastic clothing, right? So wear natural fabrics, things like linen, cotton, silk. You're not going to smell as bad.
So
And
stay away from the polyester shirts.
yeah, so it's very interesting because anything that has polyester in it, I start to smell immediately. I will know
I
that
feel
they
like a lot
lied
of
on.
workout clothes have that in it. Like the spandex and a lot of workout clothes have
Yeah,
plastics, don't they? Which
yeah.
is when you sweat. So it doesn't make sense, but yeah.
That's why I don't wear a shirt. So I'll wear a tank top that doesn't actually have anything
Anything at the
on it.
pits. And that makes sense too.
Yeah.
Okay. So just
And then
everybody out there,
wipes. Use wipes.
use wipe. What are we talking? You just in your purse, you keep some wipes with you?
Yeah. Like baby wipes. And then
Just like
if you,
baby wipes, any kind of wipes.
yeah.
Okay. And just wipe those babies off throughout the day because that's
Yeah.
not clogging anything up. Or like you, no, because there's a transition phase and we're all really scared of it. So I just want to address that with you guys because if we're going to start doing this resistance training and doing more sweating, we got to address the whole armpit thing for
Well,
sure.
sweating is how you get the smelly stuff
It,
out.
it is. So really, when we're antiperspirant, we're just kind of keeping it all inside, right?
Right.
Because same with the bottom of our feet, there's different places where we really can detox that sweat out. So we got to be careful because we do want to head into less, like you said, less of these foreign ingredients. And in the US, everything, our food, our cleaning products, our everything has it in it. And same thing, do you do something special with toothpaste? Does anyone ever
I
what kind?
use
Well, because there's a bunch of going on out there about fluoride. Don't you
yes.
put any fluoride in your mouth? You know, that's another thing out there. So I didn't know if you had a take on that since you're so
I've seen all that stuff, but I haven't gone into
gone
that
deep into it
direction
yet.
yet.
Okay.
But I am looking into fragrances. So, perfumes and heavy,
Yes.
perfume type of things. I have stopped wearing perfume
Okay. Yeah.
and I have noticed less headaches. I have noticed that I'm a lot more sensitive now to different perfume because they're all synthetic, right? So we're inhaling this stuff and it actually starts playing with our hormones and there's all kinds of
Oh yeah. We don't need to mess our hormones up any more than they already are. Yeah. We do not want to do that. Okay. So yeah. And again, we don't need to do all this at once and make it overwhelming. Just one thing at a time. Is that, as a coach, is that what you tell people? Let's focus on one thing at a time and then we'll start stacking better habits. We don't need to overwhelm ourselves all at once. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So guys, keep your inner perfect for now if you need to get through. Just something that I know is out there. And I've heard a lot of people, especially in my little spiritual community, we're trying to get rid of all these toxins, right? And these things. And deodorant's one of them, but we got to brace for that 2 to 3 weeks is what I'm hearing. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
And it's okay to sweat. I mean,
Yes.
a lot of women actually, even if they don't smell, they don't like the feeling of wet armpits, right? That feels uncomfortable. And it takes a little bit of getting used to.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can do this though. Listen, guys, we're midlifers. We're Gen Xers. We've been through a lot. So this shouldn't scare us off one bit. We can do all this. We're going to get our thigh muscles built up, you guys. Right? We're going to eat the shit out of the protein. Yeah, we got a plan now. All right. And then we're going to reach out to someone. We're going to get a personal trainer with credentials. And you guys heard, I told you all Terry's at the beginning. So she's got them all. You went hardcore on this. You didn't just get yourself healthy. You made this a career. And I love that. Yeah. We need more Terry's out there. Feel free to come back and share your million other things that you have to share, because you've got tips on reversing aging and a million different things we didn't even get to today. But this felt like a good start on, especially if you're out there getting ready to start a health journey, because we do have to take care of these little old bodies we were given in this lifetime, right? We should take care of them to finish this life strong and do all the other things. Got to have good health to finish all the other stuff. Terry, thank you so much. Do you have any other parting words for all of my friends and me right now?
Friends, don't wait. Get started little by little. You'll get there before you know it. The only thing that keeps us is quitting on ourselves. And so this is our time. This is our second act. We're recalibrating things. We're figuring things out. There's a community out there that is built to help you. Reach out to me anytime. And yeah, go to thehouseofrose.com, take a look. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you, Terry. This has been great. All right, you guys, we got this. See you next week. Listen, I know your time is valuable. And right now I'm feeling super grateful and totally humbled that you chose to hang out with me today. If this podcast resonates with you, could you do me a solid and hit that subscribe or follow button? That's going to help you out because you're never going to miss an episode. And it helps me out because you're never going to miss an episode. And if you have like 30 seconds more, could you leave a 5-star rating and maybe leave a kick-ass review? Thank you so much, and I can't wait to continue our journey on the next episode. Oh, and I can't forget the fine print. You know, the legal jargon. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. We're just two friends on this journey together, and this podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or any other qualified professional. You get it. See you next time.